Hi, I'm Alex. Let's begin with the most absurd number in technology right now, 2 trillion. That is the parameter count Elon Musk has attached to Grok's next training run, fed in part by SpaceX's world-class engineering data. The jump from the previous model S1.5 trillion parameters is not just an incremental step. It is a declaration that the next frontier in AI belongs to whoever owns the most unusual data. The announcement came shortly after SpaceX's S-record Nasdaq IPO, which freed up both capital and credibility for a $60 billion, all-stock acquisition of the AI coding company Cursor. In other words, the rocket company isn't just launching satellites anymore. It is feeding an AI that will write software. And because of ETAR restrictions, the most sensitive propulsion and guidance details stay out of the training set, but manufacturing know-how, materials science, and Starlink hardware design can flow in. The real story isn't whether the next Grok beats some benchmark. It is that Musk has created a cross-company data network that OpenAI and Anthropic cannot easily replicate. Meanwhile, the physical product that built Tesla is being quietly retired. In May, the Model S and Model X ended production after more than 610,000 cumulative deliveries. There was no dramatic farewell tour, no final edition with a plaque, just a quiet phase out. These were the cars that made Tesla a luxury icon. The ones that proved an electric sedan could outrun a Porsche and an SUV could feel like a spaceship. Yet the company's cash engine is still cars. In the latest quarter, the Model 3 and Model Y accounted for 467,762 deliveries, leaving just 12,364 for everything else. The Model Y alone captured more than 35% of all electric vehicles sold in America. In June, the average new Tesla sold for $53,107, and the Model Y S average was $51,775. These numbers tell a strategic choice. Tesla isn't abandoning cars. It is deliberately making them less central to its identity, the same way a river keeps flowing even after the dam changes its course. Here is where the competitive advantage gets tricky. Tesla owns real driving telemetry, X owns conversational data, and SpaceX adds aerospace engineering data. That triple loop is something a pure web scraping lab can't copy. The previous Grok release already leaned on cursor-related training, and the next iteration will add rocket-derived knowledge. Think of the difference between reading about turbulence in a textbook and actually feeling the vibrations of a Falcon 9 landing. The same regulatory wall that keeps sensitive military data out ITAR also demonstrates how much of this edge depends on national security policy rather than pure engineering. But even with the wall, the remaining manufacturing and materials data are vast enough to give XI an unusual lens on the physical world. And with the coding firm's real-time developer information, Musk controls both the data and the distribution channel for future AI coding tools. This is not a single breakthrough, it is a flywheel that keeps accelerating. All of this costs money, and Tesla is spending like it is trying to buy the future. Capital expenditure for this year is planned at more than $25 billion, compared with $8.5 billion the year before. A near tripling that turns AI infrastructure into the new factory floor. Then there is a $16.5 billion multi-year agreement with Samsung to produce the next generation AI6 chip at a Texas foundry through 2033. Samsung S stock jumped roughly 7% on the announcement. In April, Tesla also signed a deal to acquire an AI hardware company for up to $1.95 billion in stock and equity awards, with about $1.8 billion of that sum tied to engineers staying and hitting milestones. The pattern is clear. Cash flow from car sales is being weaponized to buy compute, talent, and tools, but every red dime has to show a return eventually, and that is a bill that will come due. The most concrete proof of the pivot is on the factory floor. 4 months after the Model S and X lines went quiet, those same assembly lines are being converted to produce Optimus, Tesla's humanoid robot, with a stated target of 1 million units per year. That ambition dwarfs every existing humanoid robot roadmap, but the risk is equally enormous. The car lineup has thinned to the point where the volume models account for nearly all deliveries, so there is little margin for error if robot revenue is delayed. The success of Optimus won't depend on the mechanics of the robot hand or hip actuator. It will depend on the software brain that makes the robot useful. And that brain is trained on the same data ecosystem we've been talking about. Driving data, conversation data, engineering data, plus the massive compute capacity that the capital spending is buying. The robot is not a separate project, it is the physical embodiment of the data flywheel. Then there is the open source story, which is where the rosy narrative begins to crack. In July, Musk announced that the design files and software for the Model S and Model X would be released in full. Tesla VP Graystow put it beautifully. Technological leadership is never defended by patents, it is earned by fast, continuous innovation. That is the kind of quote that writes itself into a press release. But the company has a history of making similar declarations. In 2014, Musk took down the patent wall. In 2021, superchargers opened to other brands. In 2023, the original Roadster S design files were promised. In 2024, Tesla published the 48-volt connector standard. The promise is always the same. We share, we accelerate, and everyone wins. Yet look at how the Roadster release actually executed. The GitHub repository contained just 8 files, no OSI-approved license, and only Gerber production outputs rather than actual design source files. As the engineering firm Ant Micro pointed out, open source declarations are now as much about culture and marketing as they are about engineering. Whether the Model S RX documents will be genuinely reusable by independent repair shops remains very much an open question. We need to talk about something far darker than open source licensing. Bloomberg's investigation identified at least 15 people killed in 12 Tesla crashes because they couldn't open electronically operated doors after power failed. In several cases, the occupants survived the impact but died in the fire that followed. The response: NHTSA denied a petition to investigate Model 3 door handles after finding just a single complaint among roughly 179,031 similar vehicles. But at the same time, the agency opened a new rulemaking for a federal motor vehicle safety standard that would require a robust and obvious door exit system. Current FMVSS 206 doesn't even cover labeling or placement of emergency release handles. There have also been 9 complaints in a separate Model Y investigation. Let that sink in. A car can be designed so that in a crash, the doors stay shut when the power goes out, and the company has a regulatory void to hide in. The excuse is always about engineering elegance, but the failure is about human lives. Now, let's step into the light for a moment, because Tesla also knows how to build joy. The Hollywood Diner on Santa Monica Boulevard has completed a year of operation, and it is now officially the most Jane-used supercharger station on Earth. The site packs Bosch of 80 stalls, which delivered 80 den 8 gigawatt gen hours over that year, about 10 lilby charges per day, and more than 400 total sessions. That is roughly 20 charges per stall per Dalton Y, about 2.7 times the global average. The experience is a retro diner plus a drive, in movie theater complete with a 66-foot LED screen, and in car ordering. You can pull up, order a burger from your touchscreen, watch a movie on the giant screen while the car charges, and leave without ever wondering if you made a wrong turn. Non-Tesla drivers pay a premium, $0.85 per kilowatt hour versus $0.53 for Tesla owners. Annual charging revenue alone is estimated at more than $11 million. It is proof that a charging stop can be a destination rather than an errand. Zoom out. And the geopolitical picture gets tense. In February, China mandated mechanical release mechanisms on every door of an electric vehicle. The United States, by contrast, has only started considering the Safe Exit Act, and safety experts expect manufacturers 1T have to comply until at least 2030. That is a years-long gap, in which the same car might have different safety hardware, depending on which side of the Pacific you park it. Meanwhile, that Texas foundry will supply the custom silicon that powers Tesla's robots and cars through the next decade. It is a powerful partnership, but it also puts a single supplier in a chokehold position on the hardware brain, and the ITAR firewall that keeps sensitive rocket data out of public models also reminds you how much of Tesla's data edge depends on national security policy it doesn't control. The more the rules diverge, the more expensive and slower Tesla's global platform becomes. That is the opposite of the speed Musk says he prioritizes. We can now count the real cost. On the safety ledger, there are the lives lost to inaccessible doors, with no binding us standard in sight until the next decade. On the transparency ledger, there is a pattern of announcing open source and delivering incomplete packages. The Roadster disappointment could repeat with the Model Stydix. On the financial ledger, there is the record capex, the milestone-heavy acquisition, and the massive chip deal, all betting on revenue from AI and robots that hasn't materialized. And on the narrative ledger, there are phrases like massive returns and strategic importance that create an expectation gap. If execution slips, the gap doesn't just close, it slams shut. Each of these debts is being compounded by the others, because safety failures erode trust in the brand, open source half-promises erode trust in the founder, and rising costs without visible returns erode trust on Wall Street. Trust is not a renewable resource. Once it is spent, you need extraordinary results to buy it back. So what do you do with all this? The loudest voices on either side are pushing a binary genius or fraud, moon or crash, but the useful playbook ignores the noise. Watch a small set of signals. First, does Grok's benchmark movement actually shift after absorbing SpaceX data? Second, does the Optimus production curve climb from the converted factory line? Third, does Samsung deliver chips on schedule? Fourth, what happens to door handle incident rates as regulators move? Tesla's three-part engine, data, capital, and narrative is real, but it is only as strong as the trust deposits that fund it. This isn't a verdict on the company's future. It is a checklist for anyone who wants to watch a physical AI experiment unfold without getting burned by their own certainty.